Today's video is all about the proven Facebook ad strategy we use to scale brands past 7 figures. So I would say let's get right into the video. So before we hop into the strategy, just really quick about me. I've managed over $20 million in Facebook ad spend. Those are just 3 quick screenshots I took from 3 different accounts that we manage. This one spent 2.4 million, and this one spent 520K, and this one spent just over $2 million in ad spend. And this is one of our most recent case studies. We increased the sales by 60% while increasing the ROAS by 30%, while increasing ad spend by 30% as well. So I've been managing Facebook ads for the past 4 or 5 years now. So that's it about me. So what are we going to cover in this video? We're going to talk about the account setup, then we're going to talk about the system Facebook, because I think it's crucial that you understand how a system works, how Facebook works, in order to understand why we set up the account this way, why we do scale it this way, why we pay only attention to a couple of metrics, and then why we do creative testing the way we do it. And because I think most people don't understand that when it comes to Facebook ads, they don't understand the system. And I think that that's the main point which we are going to dive deep into today. But again, first we're going to start with the account setup. So the account setup, why I'm starting with the account setup is because I think it's, first of all, you need to visualize how the account setup is before we dive into the system, so you can understand why we set up the account this way. So let's start with the account setup. First of all, focus on 1 to 2 SKUs max. Obviously there's things such as dynamic product ads, dynamic product catalog. That's not what I want to focus on in today's video. I want to talk about just purely scaling campaigns which focus on 1 SKU. And within your ad account, I want you to focus on 1 to 2 SKUs max. What is your hero product? What makes up the most revenue? Which product has the highest LTV? Those are questions that you have to ask yourself. And once you have the answer, focus on 1 to 2 SKUs at max. If you focus on more products, you're doing Facebook ads wrong. Ideally, within your ad account, when it comes to those SKU campaigns, those scaling campaigns, you should have 1 to 2 at max before horizontal scaling, right? So how we do is we have 1 full funnel campaign for most clients. This means broad targeting, so we don't have any targeting. We let Facebook, or you could say we let our creative do the targeting. So the people resonate with what they see in your ads, and this is how you do the targeting nowadays. If you have no clue how that works, I have a separate video about that, which focuses on your Facebook targeting. Doesn't matter, here's why, and I'm going in this way I'm explaining how the Facebook targeting works, right? Then the next thing. Automatic placements are crucial. Same goes for open gender, open age range. Obviously, if you have an ad which is only for older women, you may want to limit it down to certain age ranges. But for most brands, for most products, I'm saying go 18 to 65 men and women, because there will always be some, for example, some men who buy a product for their girlfriends or whatever. And those age ranges or those genders, if you have a product for women, you target both genders. Those other gender won't get much play and won't get much spent. But if it gets spent, it's usually a very good performing, age range or gender range, right? Then be as broad as possible. And use CPO. That's so important with the whole setup that we are currently doing, is using CPO. We want to give Facebook the best room to optimize, and by using CPO, it can decide themselves where to spend the money on, and which ad set in particular, right? Now that's the basics. How does the campaign setup look like in itself? We have 1 scaling ad set, so we have our CPO campaign, and then we have 1 scaling ad set. And this ad set features between 3 to 7 of our best performing ads, which were proven previously through creative testing. We're gonna go into creative testing, but just keep that in mind. We have 1 ad set which has the post IDs of our winning creatives, right? And the creatives need to be proven through creative testing, and every ad ideally should be different. You shouldn't have 5 images which focus on the same angle, just with different colors, right? That doesn't make sense, because they still go after the same audience in its essence, right? So every ad should be different. Have images and videos running, have prospecting and retargeting oriented ads. Use different angles and different concepts. Maybe you have a woman as a UGC creator, maybe you have a man as a UGC creator, maybe you have a review image ad, maybe you have a benefit image ad, right? Those are all different things which you need to incorporate within your ad account to really, scale an ad account. And testing. We have 1 to 2 testing ad sets, dynamic creative turned on with a 3 to 2 rule, meaning we test 3 creatives, 2 headlines, 2 ad copies. And you only really change 1 variable per time. I'm going to go deeper into creative testing in just a second. So for now, keep that in mind. Now we have 1 main ad set within our scaling campaign. We have 1 full funnel campaign And then in that campaign, we have one scaling ad set and then 1 to 2 testing ad sets. Each one automated placements, open gender, be as broad as possible, broad targeting, etc. And this is all you really need. You really only need one campaign to scale an ad account. I know that sounds crazy to most of you, but that's the truth, That's how you can scale up an ad account. And why do we set up the Facebook account this way? Why this particular way? Why only one campaign? Are we crazy? No, we're not. I've taken this general image of how a system works, because essentially in its essence, Facebook ads are only a system. You put in, dollar, your input is $1 and your output ideally is, dollar, you want to make more than you put in, right? So you put in your $1, then you have the algorithm, and that's the output, how many people purchase. And then you have feedback, and you maybe want to improve. You maybe want to change an ad, you maybe want to scale up your ads, whatever it is. Feedback is essentially how you improve the system. That's the system, and this is how you improve it, right? And then we have the environment. The environment could be a lot of things. Complexity of account structure, ad account score, the comments and ads, are they positive, are they negative? Do you manage negative comments? Landing page, conversion rate. Basically everything which has an impact on the performance of your ads. Down to even the weather on some instances. For example, if you're selling shorts, but it's raining the whole summer, you're probably not going to sell shorts. So obviously, there's so many things that the environment is. But for now, we're going to stick with the how to give the algorithm the best environment, and that's by keeping everything as simple as possible so that the algorithm can shine. Because if you do a lot of changes manually, if you put a lot of constraints on the algorithm, obviously it can't work as it's designed to be. And this is essentially, why we, our job is to give the Facebook algorithm the best environment possible, and we do this by getting out of its way. That's super important. The Facebook system, how Facebook's system works. Obviously, they want to make as much money as possible, and they also want to keep their users happy, because if there's a lot of scammy ads, a lot of ads which sell, for example, shit services, nobody's going on Facebook anymore. There's two goals that Facebook has. Deliver a great user experience so that people stick on their platform, that people visit Facebook, people visit Instagram, but they also want to make the advertisers happy, because they are essentially, the advertisers are what give Facebook the money, right? So the better your ads are for the users, the better your results will be, because then both goals work in conjunction. You deliver a great user experience by having a great ad which people want to see, which people want to engage with, which people want to leave a comment on, etc., which people want to buy from in its deepest, purest form. And then in itself, because you deliver great ads, you scale up, and this makes Facebook also happy because they get more money. So the question is always, how do I make better ads, and how do I put less constraints on the system? Because if you have an ideal environment, think about it. Think about your desk. If your desk is clean, you can think better. At least it's like this for me. So that's why I always try to keep my desk clean. If my desk isn't clean, my system, my work that I put in and the output that I get, which is great results for clients, isn't as good because I can't think clean, And if you have lots of campaigns, a lot of ad sets, lots of ads, a lot of weird testing, no clear naming structure, then the environment isn't as good as it could be. Therefore, you're not getting the best results, right? It's really as simple as that. We talked about in the system Facebook ads. It's super crucial that you understand this, by the way. Facebook is a system, and it's not more than that. It's not less than it. And obviously there's a complex algorithm to play, but now we know a lot of how the algorithm works by what Facebook is telling us. Power 5, etc., etc. So scaling again. This is just a quick screenshot. We went from 350 to 4, from 400 to 465, from 465 blah 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 all the way to 925 with this one campaign, right? Facebook scaling is super simple. We just up the budget, and then every 24 to 48 hours by 10 to 20%. That's usually the rule that I stick with. And then there's also horizontal scaling, which I didn't really leave a notes on because I think it's a very individual topic. So, cost cap and Vantage Plus. Those are probably the two most common forms of horizontal scaling, where you essentially duplicate a campaign, you put a cost cap on it, or you basically change the campaign format to Advantage Plus. You need a stable CBO first before you do any cost cap or before you do any Advantage Plus. That's crucial. Then you can try this out for yourself. And yeah, this is how the horizontal scaling works. Again, just duplicate. If you have a stable campaign, stable CBO, campaign budget updated, this is a CBO. And once that is stable for you, you can launch a cost cap campaign, which I wouldn't really focus on. I think Advantage Plus is the way to go, especially in today's environment for Facebook algorithm works. And again, use the same post IDs, audiences, etc. Just launch a C+ and let it roll. It's as simple as that. It doesn't need to be complicated. Facebook scaling isn't complicated anymore. That's why I just put a little emphasis on it, because it's a very quick point. Then, which metrics matter? There's a lot of controversy around this topic. The 4 metrics that matter the most, are amount spent, CPA, CPM, and frequency. Why those 4? First of all, we discussed CPM and frequencies in another video, which I have linked up right here. But in its essence, in its pure simple form, CPMs and frequencies basically show you where an ad is in the funnel and if it's getting good engagement or not. High CPM usually means prospect retargeting ad, and low frequency plus low CPM, for example, means more of a prospecting ad. Again, I have a separate video about that where I really dive deep into the topic, which I think you should definitely check out, because those metrics matter the most. And then amount spent, is an ad getting spent or not? And then obviously the most important one is your CPA. CPA is probably, at that level or campaign level, is the most important metric that you can look at, because if you, for example, take a look at the ROAS, your AOV might be different from day to day. On one day you might have a lower AOV, therefore your ROAS drops and you think Facebook ads aren't as good anymore, but in reality the CPA stays the same. That's why I like to look at CPA way more, because also we do a lot of internal stuff about calculating LTV, calculating down to the contribution margin, to the profitability of the business. We can forecast when I'm profitable in first order purchase, etc. And we do all this by looking at the CPA. We never ever look at ROAS when we do this, right? This is why it's so important to only look at these 4 metrics. And I'm gonna go into hook rate in just a second. But for now, a lot of you are probably thinking, what is about the CPMs, about the CTRs, and about the CPCs? I'm taking a look at the CPCs. If they are cheap, I'm doing a great job. No. CPCs have no correlation to the actual CPA or ROAS, right? I have a separate video about that. Your CTR doesn't matter. Here's why. Which again, I would highly emphasize if you want to dive deeper into Facebook ads, if you want to make better decisions for your brand or as a media buyer, to dive deep into that video, because it goes over everything. And especially, just really quickly, hypothesis: higher CTR leads to more clicks, which leads to more purchases, which is only true if every impression is worth the same, every click, which is not the case. And that's quick debunked myth. That there's correlation between CTR or CPC and ROAS or CPA, which is not. Then metrics that you could take a look at. Again, I'm taking this into could section because there's also no correlation between hook rate and CPA or ROAS. If you want to be 100% serious, hook rate and hold rate essentially don't have to say anything about the performance of an ad. You could have a high hook rate, high hold rate, and there wouldn't be any purchases. That could definitely be the case. First of all, only look at these metrics if you have similar videos. These metrics also have zero correlation to your CPA, so take them with a grain of salt. How we use them: ad turn vertical, because we create ads that spend $100,000 plus on Facebook. If you need that, first link in the description. But how we take a look at these metrics is, if I have a video that does well, I look at these rates and I think of ways on how I would improve these metrics in a non-clickbaity way. First of all, never be clickbaity, etc. Those satisfying hooks, which everybody's, we got a 7% hook rate, or we got a 50% hook rate. Nobody cares. Now, if you have an ad which is doing great, which has a 20% stop rate, how could I maybe improve that to 25? Is there maybe a different keyword chart that I could take that's more enticing? Those are questions that you have to ask yourself. Again, and then never compare 2 super different creatives, because I think there's no way to compare those, because they have no difference or no impact on your actual CPA. What you should always remember is these metrics go down with spend automatically as your ads appeal to a larger audience. So if you have an ad which is just starting out and may get a great stop rate, and if it's getting a great CPA, perfect, scale it up. But over time, as you reach essentially a larger audience, you're not reaching your small key target audience anymore, you appeal to a broader demographic. That rate, your average watch time, your hook rate, your hold rate, these metrics will all go down over time. And that's also why it's not great to look at stop rates over time, because they always go down, right? So take these metrics with a grain of salt, but yet take a look at them if you compare similar creatives, right? Then number 5, we have creative testing. Follow campaign setup from above. If you've set up this campaign, throw in a new creative headline or ad copies every time you launch a new test. Change one variable only. That's key. Only changing one variable. If you test headlines, you only change the headlines and keep your best price and best ad copies. If you're testing creatives, use the same headlines and same ad copies you're using in your top creatives, right? Make sure dynamic creative is turned on. And the most important thing, which I think a lot of people don't understand, is if you run that full funnel CBO campaign approach, if you're trusting the Facebook algorithm, which you should, if you're not, that's okay then. But then this creative testing technique is not for you. If you're trusting the algorithm, then if an ad is not getting spent, it's not good enough. It doesn't deserve spend. This is why it's so great to test with CBO, because it's something that's not getting spent, it's something that deserves spend, so we can think of ways on how to improve this, right? It's really simple as that. If an ad is getting spent and a great CPA, you're good to go. Dynamic creative is getting spent, great. If an ad set is not getting spent, it's simply not good enough. And this is how we, structure ad accounts, how we spend millions, how we scale brands 7 figures, and it's super simple, super straightforward. If you, link to this doc is also in the description, so you can take a look at this. And I think this is the part which most people miss. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys very, very soon in the next video. Bye.